Islam family, peace and love. On this beautiful Tuesday, Consular Court class day. We have Consular Court class today. Consul Commissioner, class today. 7 p.m. Eastern time. 7 p.m. Eastern time. And the topic of tonight's call will be on court case removals from the de facto corporate courts to the Article 3 Moorish American Consular Courts of Morocco, which is geared up for its grand opening January 29th, 2019. About 2 weeks from now. A little over 2 weeks from now. Actually, I think it might be a little less than 2 weeks from now. So the better question is, Morris, how can you get yourselves prepared and not wait to the last minute? Or, like right now, business as usual. I spoke about the grid, the Moorish American nationality grid, and I'm going to, put time into this grid as well as post this grid as I fill it out and update it as to where you should be on the grid, and to actually be is to be declared and proclaimed a Moorish American national. And the grid is very, very self-explanatory, has processes that you need to be putting in place at the top. And like, for instance, the first grid is nationality. So to even get on the grid, you have to declare and proclaim your nationality. That's the step one on the grid, and there are steps to what that looks like. And it's just you completing the documents, you putting them on the public, putting the public on notice, as well as sending it to the 7 locations, which completes the notice of, which puts your status correction on the record. Put that down. Did you stop it? Go in the house. See? I can't ever be by myself for like 5 minutes. Can't ever. Go ahead. I'm going to let you go down the steps. So nationality is the first order of the day. What is next? Allodial identification card, nationality identification cards. Family members, a lot of our family members are going to be getting those corporate cards. They're going to be getting those so-called state issue cards. They're going to be using all types of so-called citizenship identification cards that's going to adhere them to contracts that are outside of their nationality, which is putting them under a wardship status. Realize, nationality is the order of the day. Get your nationality identification cards. This is going to be needed, so you have not only proclaimed and professed out of your mouth, you have supporting documentation to substantiate your claim as to how you are choosing to align yourselves. Islam, because the article, Amendment 1, gives you the natural right that nobody can obstruct of aligning yourself with however you would like to align yourselves. Now, the Albions in these corporate courts, in these corporate venues, in these corporate organizations would like you to remain and to continue your alignment with them, because through your alignment with them, you have to be under the wardship status. And being under that is subjecting you to those codes and procedures and regulations and all of the things that take. Why do you keep coming back and forth? Come back again. So what am I saying? An individual contacted me today about voter registration, for instance. When you apply for voter registration, that's a contract, right? And when you apply for voter registration, you're saying that I want to align myself with the county of the state of, under the federal jurisdiction of. That is exactly what that's saying. I'm aligning myself with these, and as Namdagirs, we've done that, not knowing what we were stepping ourselves into, right? So now, because you've done the so-called voter registration, and I keep saying everything starts and ends with the county, because they're the ones keeping the checks and balances in keeping track of the property, the booty, the prize, the chattel property. Islam. So we want to make sure when we're revoking things, we're letting individuals know of that revulsions. When we're rescinding things, that we are rescinding things. The Moorish American Consulate is a public, is a platform for Moors to put their lawful notices on the record. Because even though they would like you to record nom de guerre corporate activity on these county websites under the registers of deeds and wills and orphans, they're doing that because that is how they keep track of their property, right? They've hypothecated, and we have to know how to read, and we have to know how to interpret contracts as well as responsibilities, and as well as, even though they're trying to claim jurisdiction over you, there is a jurisdiction that they are absolutely under, and that's the Constitution. So if they're under the Constitution and they're trying to subject you to them, how do you get out of that subjection? How do you get out of that so-called citizenship, so-called wardship? Classification? That is what nationality is. Nationality is getting outside of that alignment that is fraudulent in nature and not in your best interest or your family's best interest, and the way to do that is nationality, your Moorish nationality. So I'm talking about voter registrations. People get summons to their corporate courts. Why are you getting summons to their corporate courts? Because at one point in time, because they utilize their corporate structure, to push their corporate agenda all the way from the top to the bottom to the middle of their infrastructure. So not only do you have the schools promoting voter registrations, you have companies promoting voter registration, you have organizations pushing voter registrations, and now even when you go to register for like a hospital visit, they ask you, have you voted? Have you registered to vote? So in every layer of their corporate organizational structure, they're asking you or requesting you contract, because to fill out that voter registration, rescind all contracts. Once you rescind one, you rescinded them all. You don't have to sit here and constantly contact these individuals, and your rescission of that particular contract is you nationalizing, family. So you don't have to keep creating new documents. You don't have to keep putting specific documents on the record. You stand on your nationality documentation. So when people sit here and try to put you under a straw man, a nom de guerre, or a war name, which is what they all are, you state for the record who you are and how best to do that, and how do you do that? Your name declaration, your judicial proclamation, and a physical representation of yourself, which is the national identification card. That's what you send to individuals. Verifications and validations, because that's further and further putting your status correction on the public venue. So when they send you summons for their tribunals or summons for their jury pool for their organizational structures, because you have aligned yourself outside of that paradigm and that structure into your own culture and birthright, it is your responsibility just to send them a copy of your status correction documents, a copy of your nationality identification, and tell them this is notice of intent to lien you if you continue to identify me and put my name in all caps in a nom de guerre, denationalizing me. And I'm going to lien you because you are effectively trying to genocide my culture, my alignment into my bloodline and identity in favor of a nom de guerre. So that is what you have to kind of do. And you don't have to, like I say, keep reinventing the wheel. You make a copy of your documents. You don't even have to do it in legal size paper. You've already put everybody on notice. You're just giving them a copy for their records so they can update their records. So when they're going into their systems under their administration, they sit there and have verification as to why that record was updated. I updated this record because this is a Moorish American national. They no longer identify as the nom de guerre, and I have to take them out of my system. That is what all these corporations are required to do. And they're also required to have national accounts, Moorish American national accounts. And when For instance, you send your affidavits and writs to the corporations to let them know of your status correction, that you are no longer to be billed under constitutional law because you are a Moorish American national. You send them a copy of your nationality documentation as well as your photo nationality identification card. Why is that? You're again putting it on the public record that you have realigned yourself into your own nationality. And they are required, because we've already established that they have to establish national accounts. So when we send in our documentations in there, they are putting all Moors on that national account under the Moorish National Republic federal government and the Moorish American Consulate. Islam? So this is all due process. It's due process. It's due process. It's notification. It's notification. We are required to notify them. And then if they continue to be in breach because of their ignorance, because of their internal structures and processes that they think can stand the weight of nationality, which they cannot, they are processes. You'll go to libraries, for instance. You'll go to libraries where they'll sit here and try to say, okay, you can only have this conference room for 2 hours, or you can't, and try to give you some justifiable reasons as to why they have to have this particular structure. That's all processes that they would like to ward against the Constitution. All right, if you sit here saying that your process supersedes the Constitution, I'm going to show you how it don't by leading you. Because obviously you don't really care about your business. You're warring against the nationals of the land, and you're going to be leaned because of that. And I know I'm saying a lot here, and I didn't get here by accident. I got here by study. I got here by competency, and I got here by knowledge. Whereas though I wanted to understand what the heck was going on and how to fix it. Because I was born under a nom de guerre. Not necessarily under a nom de guerre. I was identified through my mother under a nom de guerre because that's how I was raised. And once I was aware, this is the big key. You're becoming aware of the realities of Morocco, what's going on in Morocco, and you're making the course correction, you're realigning, and you're doing what you have to do, because the reality is, if you're not watching the news, if you're not seeing the articles that are being displayed out there, particularly an article that came out today that talked about the Justice Department in the judiciary under that corporate structure is in interregnum, is in the shutdown because of their corporate shutdown, which means they have no more funds because they are a corporation, and that's how they roll, having funds. If they don't have funds, you can't operate no more. And it's a cute way of saying we bankrupt, we can no longer provide services for you, because the Moorish American nationals have reestablished and regained control of their land, wealth, and resources. And if you want to continue to be here, if you want to continue to do things on our land, this is how you have to do it. And you already know the laws that you have to abide by. So it's not something new that we have to create and establish. You just have to get back on the right side of things and realize that you can no longer treat me the way you've been treating me, because I've realigned myself into my Moorish nationality, and it is your fiduciary responsibility to now act right. And people don't understand why do they have to act right now? Because you have reestablished your nationality. The reasons why they took the turbans off your heads, the sandals off your feet, and your Islamic and cultural garb is so you would identify under the nom de guerres and under the wardship name, so they can subject you to their corporate policy. So when you sit here start talking about constitutional law or whatever other particular processes that you start talking about, you're adhesing yourselves to contracts, outside of contracts, and you're subject. I know I'm saying a lot. I've rewind and rewind and rewind videos until I got the competency. I've done that. Family, you have to put just as much time and energy in the things that you enjoy to the things that are going to elevate you and your nation, because your nation is waiting for you. And people sit here and complain about, I can't reach this person, I can't reach that person, because we all are supposed to have this information, have this knowledge, and be able to help each other locally and wherever you domicile near. So it is our responsibility to start unifying within the organizations and within the territories that we are. If you're only Moor there, make sure you're not the only Moor there by starting something. Study groups, organizational structures, like we have the class at Havertown, free library down in Havertown corporate territory on Saturdays from 11 to 1, so we can get Moors active in their own liberation and freedom. Because nobody's going to hand you your freedom. You have to take it. And you ain't got to shoot a gun in it. You just got to be competent in the laws and act in that regards. Now, you said when you nationalize, wouldn't you say that the former black person becomes a Moorish subject, trust eligible, obligations of the United States? I don't know what you're talking about. Because once you nationalize, that you are no longer identifying under that nom de guerre, and that nom de guerre no longer exists. So no, your nom de guerre, so-called black person, doesn't automatically become a Moorish subject. But if you are the nation, let's think about it this way. So let me rephrase. If you're the nation, and your nation is saying anybody without a nationality or who doesn't know their nationality are automatic a Moorish subject. That's true. Absolutely true. But right now, we still have a lot of colonizers here doing business as these corporate structures, and a lot of our family members are falling subject to that because of their ignorance. So until we have that colonization process started, which has already started, y'all. It's already started. You're going to be subject, and you're going to be subject to this because of the lack of knowledge that you're denying yourself by staying in the nom de guerres or functioning in that capacity and not getting yourself outside of that jurisdiction. I got court Tuesday or Thursday. I'm going in proper persona for the first time. Now, I don't know, like I'm a Sagittarius in terms of character, as well as I am an accountant by trade. So that's a coded question. You're going to go in proper person, but why are you going to go? That's also submission to jurisdiction. What documentation have you sent out to precede you? Are you a Moorish American national? Because your nom de guerre that I'm looking at right now does not have a bay or an L at the end. So have you done your status correction? You can stand on proper person because it is in your bloodline, but how can you enforce that how can you enforce that and substantiate your claim? Because you as the person is the biggest validation. So me saying I'm Sharon Tracy Gale, Moorish American national, that's me giving you an adverse claim to your nom de guerre when I come in there. So that's one. Two is so they can't sit here and play games because you haven't done the lawful notices to say, I don't know what you're talking about, and because you have no physical evidence, no documentation to substantiate who you are, or to substantiate that you sent them a rebuttal. And the rebuttal would be you sending a quo warranto, the international notice of removal and arrest command, the treaty of peace and friendship, the notice of existence of the Moorish American Consulate, a copy of your name declaration and judicial proclamation if you want to do that, the tracking documents to go with that, so they know, oh, this person did do the notifications that she was supposed to do, in addition to a copy of your nationality identification card, so there can be absolutely no no errors in who I am coming in here to present to you, because I'm not representing anything. I'm coming here on a special appearance. But again, we don't do that because that also, to a degree, is submitting to jurisdiction. Because if you did not think that they had weight or authority, you wouldn't show up. That's the reality. You're showing up because you still, in some degree, in this pineal gland, in this brain, in this mind that you have, you're showing up because you feel they have authority. That's part of the spell too, family. You let your documents precede you. You send them that certified return receipt, and you keep track of that documentation, and you follow it up with the lien because you know they're going to be in dishonor. And that's tying your camel. That's getting your houses in order. That's rebutting everything. Islam? So what am I talking about? Because I was specifically speaking... I ain't even answering that. I'm not even... Nope. I'm not even going to do it. The way you record your status correction to your bloodline and your nationality is sending an email to Moorishamericanconsulatene at gmail.com. That is Moorishamericanconsulatene at Moorishamerican at gmail.com. I don't even know what I'm saying. So that's Moorishamericanconsulatene at gmail.com. You send a PDF of your name declaration, your judicial proclamation, and your photo identification if you have that, your nationality card, and a little bit more contact information, and you will get a MAC record number, and you will get a correspondence back with that particular information. Islam? So that's how you get recorded with the Moorish American Consulate. Yes, your documents always precede you. And there's a particular reasons why, because you have, it's evidence. It's evidence for your claim, your adverse claim. Just like how even in their tribunals, they don't have no damn evidence. And when they go to the so-called county and they sit here and file a fraudulent, unlawful claim through the nom de guerre corporate ward process, even in their system, under corporate law, they violate. They even violate under corporate law, because corporate law says you have to have currency, all of these different things. But let's get back to notice of removal. Now, we're all going to be attacked right now because they are shrinking. And because they're shrinking, they don't have that authority or that oversight that they used to have to make sure they're doing things right. So now they're like independent cells, terrorist cells. That's exactly what they are. These county corporate offices are operating as terroristic cells. We got to start calling them exactly what they try to fraudulently call others that have nationality, that have the bloodline to be in the areas that they are in. They just have the ignorance because they're operating as a nom de guerre. And we also have to realize that they were responsible, lawfully responsible as trustees at one point before that was revoked by the nationals to do a specific thing. So they're in complete breach, and their debt is so high they can never pay it. All they can do is hope to deceive you and get you walking down roads and avenues that don't lead to nationality, that leads to subjection to a corporate and a nom de guerre. Okay, now let's talk about things that you need to be challenging, things that you need to be moving. The notice of removal process is starting January 29th, 2019. I believe that that is a Thursday. That is the day we will start accepting cases to be removed from these unlawful corporate courts that don't have jurisdiction. The International Writ and Arrest Command document that's also on the website, www.Moorishamericanconsulate.org, has that international document on there. It also has the Treaty of Peace and Friendship on there. It also has the notice of removal on there, and it also has the notice of the consular courts, the notice of existence of the consular courts. Those documents should accompany the notice of removals. And when you get these so-called summons, when you get these so-called war rants, when you get these so-called contracts that they're trying to adhere you to, but they're coming in the nom de guerres, no, that's already code. If you accept the damn invitation, you are subject, because knowledge and knowledge of the laws, as well as you being in your proper person, you're supposed to know what you're doing as an adult. We're supposed to get to a point of adulthood, and that's by being competent in the laws of the land, so we can have a tranquil and jural society where people do not violate each other because of the ignorance that's shared among them. There's a lot of Moorish organizations and businesses, and I call them Moorish corporations, that are trying to sell you your nationality and charging you so much finances to complete their so-called process. Moors, if everybody can't do it, And only a handful of people can do it who have a certain amount of finance. That is not the organization you need to be aligning yourself with. There are going to be situations, there are going to be times where you won't be able to do things. And if you can't declare and proclaim your nationality because the fiat is $1,000. Like, I know organizations that are charging people thousands of dollars for nationality. You know you're in the wrong place because the fiat is so high that you can't even declare and proclaim. And realize, when you fill out the name declaration, the judicial proclamation, that is you proclaiming and declaring your nationality. Your thumbprint, your signature, your 2 witnesses, that is that process. That's all you really had to do. Now, when you want to align yourself with the Moorish National Republic Federal Government, the Moorish American Consulate, that's when you send it into us. We stamp it, we seal it, we give it more protection because it's being validated by the government. Your realignment to the actual de jure government on the land. Islam? There's Moors that contact me constantly to do witnessing. And there was a time that I was able to do that freely. It's very difficult to do that now. And another Moor, Mustafa, I can't say the rest of his appellation, who also created another process, because you Moors are just gods in your own right and so industrious that whenever there's an obstacle, we automatically manifest the solution. That's how awesome we are. If you don't have a witness that you have around you that's a Moorish American national, you record yourself signing your documents, family. The first thing you want to do is show your face so we know what you are, who you look like, right? You want to show your face. I am Sharon Tracy Galbay. And then you want to turn the camera around on your smartphones, and you want to show yourself signing your name declaration and your judicial proclamation. So all you need to have is those 2 pages that you're signing. You do your thumbprint on both documents, you sign on both documents, and then you end the recording. That recording shouldn't even be 30 seconds. It might be just a minute. We all, because we have Google.com, and all of our cell phones are linked to that Google, and in order to get on that YouTube, you have to have that. So you already have an account for Google, and you already have an account for YouTube. So you go Islam, there he is, Mustafa Abdul, I can't say the last, and I don't want to butcher your appellation, so I'm going to just say that. Islam, he's the individual who was the first one that recorded his signing of his documents and sent me the link. So once he uploaded it to his YouTube page, he got a link. He sent me the link. I downloaded that recording, and as soon as his documents come in the mail, he'll have 2 witnesses, because we have seen him signing his documents, as well as he just put his status correction on the public platform without even sending it to the 7 locations yet. And what you could do to enhance that, right? So now you'll enhance the viewerships to that page to validate your status correction. You can put at the end of your documents that link. Please see actual recording of me signing and declaring and proclaiming my nationality. Got a time stamp, got a date stamp, everything. He did that. So when you don't have a witness, you record yourself proclaiming and declaring your nationality by signing your documents, and then you send it. And then you send it to whoever you're sending your status correction papers with. If you're sending it to Northeast, you would text me or email me that link. If you're sending it to Darius, who's the post head of Mid-Atlanta, you do the same there. If you're sending it to West, where Light Tajiri Bay is, you would do the same there. Whoever you're sending your documents for sealing and recording, that individual is the one you're going to send that recording to. I've posted on my platform, Facebook, my Facebook page, as well as the Moorish American Consulate Northeast Territory YouTube page, as well as the group in Facebook. I posted those links. So now more people will see that you've declared and proclaimed your nationality. And then an extra protection on you when you're sending notifications in to these so-called magistrates, to these so-called administrators, to these so-called corporate people. You make sure that link is there, which is this is the public notice of me declaring and proclaiming my Moorish nationality. See video on YouTube and put the link and put that in every document that you have. That's validation, y'all, and that's public notice. So Islam, thank you for sharing that, because now everybody has that process. And it's free. You ain't got to go to the county recorders of deeds. And everybody, you sit here and notify of your status correction and your nationality. You put that darn video in there as well. So let's start that and do that and make sure we don't delay months and months and months of declaring and proclaiming our nationality because we don't have witnesses. Islam? All right. So I talked about that. Next is nationality. Not nationality. Next is notice of removal. Like I said, we started accepting cases January 29th, 2019. If you want to volunteer to be a part of the process administratively to help us facilitate that transition, please come to the consul commissioning class that will be today at 7 p.m. so you can volunteer to establish and make sure that is a smooth transition on January 29th, 2019, which is a couple of weeks from now. Now, who can file a notice of removal to be accepted by the Moorish American Consular Courts of Morocco, Article 3 jurisdiction? Who can file it? Well, you have to be a Moor family, so you have to declare and proclaim your nationality and get your MAC record number, your recording number with the Moorish American Consulate. Get those two things first before you send any documentation to the consulate for acceptance. We will not be accepting, we can't accept cases unless we have proof and valid and documentation of your status correction. And if you have a MAC number, that means we already have established that we have verification of your status correction, which is why we require the MAC number. The MAC number is to make sure Moors have done their due diligence, their due process, as well as notification of their status correction. Islam? All this stuff is building on other processes, family. I'm trying to make sure you got it right and you teach it to the babies so the babies will always have it right and we won't be doing this again 100 years from now. This will be done. And you have to be educating and gaining knowledge so you can pass it to your heirs, so you can solidify your family. You can only solidify your family. If you don't teach your children about Moorish nationality, they will be automatically working at a deficit and a liability to whatever nation that they domicile near. So don't leave your children at a deficit because you are at a deficit. If you have knowledge to gain that knowledge. Islam? All right. Notice of removal. I always have to give the precursors because I'm accountable and I'm organized, and processes help you to not make errors and to make sure you tie your camel and make sure when you start something, you complete it because you know from A to Z, 1 to 3, how to get it done. And that's where processes come in place. Processes help to make sure you complete things. Tasks are completed. Okay, the notice of removal. Say you travel down the street. You travel down the street and somebody pulls you over. Or let's use mortgages. Let's use that. That's easy. Let's use mortgages. You get a claim. You stop making those contributions because you put those corporations on notifications as to your status correction, as well as you've challenged the contract, the unlawful contract where it was completely fraudulent. You were not disclosed of the information that needed to be disclosed of, and you inadvertently got attached to some unlawful contract. You realized the error. You put the notifications out there. You've done your trust. You've done everything, and you've stopped making those contributions. Because Federal Reserve notes is proof of debt, is not proof of payment of debt. So you cannot pay off any debts with no Federal Reserve notes. And contrary to popular belief, you gave them something that you were not even required to give them. And you pretty much gave them a monetizable document that they took, which was the promissory note. The mortgage was never lawful because you did not receive anything you gave. They're trying to act as if they gave you a contract. They're trying to act as if they gave you money. They gave you nothing. You gave them a promissory note, which based on your signature and that promissory note, they sold it which is why they automatically turn it over. And they've received capital, they've received finances for that document. The bank never gave you anything. The bank was the interloper who came, took your documents, monetized it for their interest, and then gave you a mortgage because of the collateral you gave them. But that collateral, which was the mortgage, is not binding because they did not give you anything. So that collateral has never been collateral. My point. Because you gave them finance, they did not give you. You gave them a monetizable document that they could take and sell and create wealth for themselves while violating you. That's what they did. You found out that's what they did. You nationalized. You sent a notice of discovery to them to validate the contract. One, they're never going to do because half of the employees that work for those particular banks don't even know what you're talking about because they only know one little piece of their position, and that could be just to print documents. Just print off all these documents. One person's printing the document, another person signing a document, the other person's mailing the document. So they don't even they're not even aware of the whole complete process. One, all they're doing is when stuff stops, all they know is when stuff stops, they have a process, so they go to the process. What happens when we don't receive a payment from this particular mortgagee? We start with the next process of our organizational structure. That's what's going on. So you've done all what you've done. You've conveyed your property into your trust. You've created and established a allodial title. Only you can do that because you are the heirs to the estate. They only can have deeds and deeds of interest which are given from the corporate state who's hypothecating the land because nobody's claiming it. That's what's really going on. All right. So where are we at? Now they waited 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, had to give you, based on their internal processes through the federal, through the state, they have to give you 90 days, try to get you to renegotiate a contract, try to get you to start making a payment, arrangement, try to get you a lawyer, all this kind of nonsensical stuff to get you back on track with giving them your energy, right? All right. Now you got a summons. You have they filed a claim, they found a third-party interloper, the bank, found a third-party interloper to adjudicate, take the case, and now they filed it in the county you domicile near. So now the county that you domicile near, who is the actual individual who sold you the so-called bullshit deed, which was unlawful and unsubstantiated, but nobody else was claiming the land, so they just hypothecated, created their business, and you didn't create a title when you purchased or when you transferred that asset. They were required to tell you all of these things when you were at the signing, but because they're fraudulent gang members, terrorists, they didn't tell you any damn thing. They created a business in an illegal enterprise over top of that to take what's yours. And the ignorance part is us not knowing that as soon as we got that if we were in our lawful capacity, we would know, put a title on it, put it on a public record, convey it into your trust, link it to your government's trust, you're protected. Islam? So, now you got this so-called summons because now they want to foreclose on the instrument. The house is yours because it's on your land, and all you have to do is convey it into your trust and establish a title as a Moorish American national, the birthright lands, right? So now the so-called attorney, which are unlawful and illegal on the planet right now, on the North Continent, Northwest of Mexico, it's unlawful. They don't have any jurisdiction, don't have any validation, and again, like everything else, they're hypothecating because people don't know that, and people are still contacting and contracting with them, not realizing to even contract with any so-called attorney of the so-called state of wherever you are submitting to the jurisdiction, and that's their only job. You're paying them to submit you to their jurisdiction so they can take your shit. I love to use that word, only when the point needs to be reined in. So I apologize if I'm offending anyone. That is not my intention. Okay. Where am I at now? Now I'm at, you have a so-called summons, and a case was filed in their unlawful court with some unlawful documents by the clerk of courts to have you come in because now they want to take your damn property from you because they think it's theirs. They think it's theirs. This is your, and then when you send them a rebuttal, now all these affidavits, these millions and millions of affidavits, Moors be sending into the tribunal to let them know, oh, you don't got jurisdiction in this case. I am a Moorish American national. I'm outside of your jurisdiction. I don't know what you think you're trying to do. Here's validation of who I am, my status correction, as well as a picture of my nationality identification cards. At that time, they should be dismissing. They're supposed to be dismissing, family. They're supposed to be dismissing. They're not doing that. Right? Because their whole game is to do the racketeering piece. And if they dismiss on one, now you got evidence in their bullshit ass system, and they're going to sit here and now Moors, because you know once one Moor does it, 20 Moors done did it, and once 20 Moors done did it, 1 million Moors done did it, and once 1 million Moors done did it, 5 million Moors done did it, and now we free because now they ain't got nothing on the land and we kicking them out. That's what's going to happen. Islam? Certificate of nationality issued by Secretary of State for persons not a naturalized citizen of the United States for use of procedures in a foreign state. I don't know. I don't do USC codes, baby, because we above codes. We're above all of those codes. We're above that whole system. So I don't use their codes to justify any of my lawful positions. I use the contract and I use the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. I don't get to the code system because that damn code system is UCC commercial. UCC commercial. Moors are outside of that jurisdiction. And you're only going to put yourself in that jurisdiction by even suggesting the codes. So I wouldn't. I would use it when I need it, but stand on the law, the supreme laws that those codes come from. All codes are supposed to come from the law. If they don't come from the law, family, what are they? If they don't come from the law, they are notwithstanding. So why talk about them? Stop. If they are not a part of the Constitution or the treaty, they are notwithstanding. That's already in the contract. So whatever that's saying, if it's not in harmony with the Constitution, it's notwithstanding. So why refer all the way down to the codes when the codes come from the damn law, and the law is what you need to know, and the only thing you need to stand on. Pax et more. Back to what I was talking about. So where we at? So now you got a so-called summons where they're trying to, and then they put their solicitation in those damn summonses with them, like, oh, you can do a refinance, call this number. They'll have all types of so-called attorneys contacting you, trying to get you to contract with them because they want to submit you to the jurisdiction so they can take your shit at the end of the day, as well as make you pay way more finance for them to do it. Islam. So now this is where the notice of removal comes in. The notice of removal, you start getting your case compiled in order to have it adjudicated and have it accepted, because the first step is notice of removal, the second step is submitting the notice of removal, the second step is acceptance by the Moorish American Consulate, and the third step is adjudication by the Supreme Judiciary Body. I'm going to say that again. The first step is you submitting that notice of removal. Not just the first submittal is to the so-called tribunal who is claiming to have a claim that somebody has filed a claim in their jurisdiction. So they're filing a claim in that corporate jurisdiction, right? So now it's your responsibility to say, oh, that's the wrong venue. I already put y'all butts on notice, because you're going to put them on notice before that. But at this point, you don't even want to go through all those loopholes. Just send them the notice of removal. Because in the notice of removal is going to let them know they ain't got jurisdiction. It's going to challenge jurisdiction. It's going to do all of that. So the notice of removal is what you're going to send to the so-called tribunal. Certified return receipt. Certified return receipt. The notice of removal is being sent to their venue. If you want to, and the supporting documentation that is to substantiate that claim is notice of removal. I'm sorry, that notice of removal is the first. Then you have the international the international removal and arrest command, the notice of the Moorish American Consulate, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, the record number MACN-R 9999999. That's the Declaration of Trust of the Moorish National Republic Federal Government. your trust document, a copy of your trust declaration, a copy of your Moorish American nationality identification card, as well as just a name declaration if you don't want to put all the whole package. But if you want to put the whole package, put the whole package, as well as the title to the damn land. I said a lot, didn't I? So 1, notice of removal. Get that document done. 2, if you want to, in the supporting documentation with the notice of removal, if you have it, is a copy of the so-called summons for their so-called tribunals. But if you don't have a copy of the so-called summons, attach the the case number or the docket number in the body of the notice of removal. So if you have both, send them both. But if not, just make sure you have validation of the number so they can track it in their system and pull it out of their system. So they need some type of reference to their case number within their system. Okay? A copy of the so-called citations if you have it. So that's the first 2 with the notice of removal. The notice of existence of the Moorish American Consulate. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship. The international case removal. I'm saying it wrong. The international case removal and rest command. After that, there's the declaration of trust of the Moorish National Republic Federal Government. The declaration of trust of your private family trust. Your nationality name declaration. A copy of your photo. Your nationality identification card. And I'm missing one thing. I know I'm missing one thing. I'm missing something. What am I missing? The title. That's all part of your claim. Don't worry about it because it's all going to be in all the instructions. And I'm going to put it out there for y'all. It's going to be a part of that grid. Notice of removal grid that I'm developing right now. So you'll know everything. And majority of these documents are on the Moorish American Consulate website. That's www.moorishamericanconsulate.org. So it's going to be there. As well as you can send me an email and I'll send you the damn process as well as the documents. But don't be sitting here stalking me if I don't send it in 2 days. Because I be busy and there'll be like 100 emails coming in a day and you might get lost in that translation. That's why we have it on the website. So that's the first place you want to go if you want to get it done right now. If you want to get it done right now, go to the website or send me an email. I am working on a subsequent web page to get all of this stuff down, so you ain't gotta call me or text me for nothing if you just want to say, hi Cher, how you doing? Love you, hate you, get on my nerves. If you want to do that, because I want you to be self-sufficient and I want you to be able to do everything independent of any Moorish organization, because this is not only for the Moors that are pilfering our people and creating and establishing societies and ways of life on the backs of the Moors when they're supposed to be working together to reestablish control of Morocco as well as to regain control of the resources. That's what the Moors are supposed to be doing. Unity, reestablishment of assisting with the unity and the reestablishment of the Moorish Divan, as well as getting access to our estate and getting all of the commerce back in line with the Moorish nation, because they are under them and they are subject to us. That's why we can lean them and not have a problem. That's exactly why we lean them and don't have a problem. And now they're adjusting. They are correcting and they're adjusting right now and establishing those corporate accounts. I'm sorry, not corporate, national accounts. So as you sit here and demonstrate, it's going to take some time. If somebody ignores you or if somebody doesn't respond to you, just as long as you have your tracking, you are protected and you're in there as a claimant. First in time, first in line. Don't be at the back of the line. You know, we don't like waiting in lines. We so arrogant because we have God complexes because we already knew we was God. We don't like standing in line. If you see a line, Moors see a line, they be like, really? I got to stand in that line? So be first in line, first in time. Islam? I said a lot. I know I said a lot. And I just wanted to kind of talk about the notice of removal process. We're going to have a consul commissioning class tonight to go over in detail. So bring your documentation. You're going to have to get comfortable going to the site of the county. That's where all the information that you need is, because that's where all the stuff was taken from you at the county website. Islam, let's think about this one. There was an article today that talked about that all civil cases have been put on a halt and a freeze because of the shutdown. What are they saying, family? They saying we ain't got no finances to continue to operate as the so-called judiciary of the so-called service corporation because Donald Trump won't sign a check to keep us running. Donald Trump won't sign a check to keep us running because he want to build a wall, which etymologically means more. He want to build the Moors. He's helping you as best he can. So right now, they are not moving in civil cases under their corporate structure. What is that saying, y'all? Saying a lot. Saying a lot to me. It's saying they're trying to give you some time, Moors, to get your shit together. You got till March 31st to get your stuff together. Make the time, make the effort, make the intention. Set the intention, rather. Set the intention to get your houses in order. What do I mean by that? That is nationality, identification, trust, case removal started for processing, learning and educating yourself on what you need to get done to tie your camels. All the family members that are sitting here talking about they ain't trying to do nothing, that they want to stay under these nom de guerres, and they want to stay in Desperate Housewives world, they want to stay in the illusion, just convey them and their property in your trust. Meaning, if you got 20 family members, only 2 of them mugs is nationalized. All the other ones, you convey their property into your trust. You title it and you protect it. That's what you do, so nobody can take it from you. Islam? I said a lot. I know I did. It's going to be followed up with actual processes, procedures. Tonight we're going to go over the notice of removal in a little bit more detail, talk with the individuals that are volunteering to help facilitate this process by helping to assist the viziers of the Moorish American Consulate, which is the Supreme Judiciary, doing all of that. So we're going to need volunteers to support that process, and you'll learn a lot in the supporting that you do. Islam. So that class is on free conference call. I've posted, and I'll probably repost today. If you want to be a part of that free conference call, join. If you want to be a part of the email directory for that, so you will be notified when classes are being in session, send your email to Moorishamericanconsulatene@gmail.com, and I will put you on the list. But when you send your email to be added to the Consul Commissioning list, guess what else you should send? Your Moorish appellation, so I know who I'm talking to, as well as your email address. Obviously, the email is going to be in the email address because it's going to be sent. But in addition to that, make sure we have contact information on you. So at least let us make sure we have your appellation, which is your Moorish, so your so-called parentheses or brackets name, your email address, and your phone number, and possibly your mailing location if you're comfortable with that. But I know we've been so victimized and brutalized, we're so scared to share with each other. I get that. So send that to, again, Moorishamericanconsulatene@gmail.com. Tonight at 7, yes, tonight at 7, we have our judicial consul commissioning class on the notice of removal process. So get your pen game up, as well as don't rely on Office Maxes or libraries or different places like that. Invest in a computer, invest in a printer, invest in yourselves, family. Islam, peace and love. Till the next time, or till tonight, I bid you adieu. Pax et amor, dies in bonum. Grazie.